Inspector James Morgan stood in the study of the old mansion, staring at the body of Richard Thompson, a wealthy businessman. The victim lay face down on his expensive Persian rug, a broken watch next to his outstretched hand. The time on the watch had stopped at exactly 9:45 p.m. "What do we know so far?" Morgan asked Officer Turner, who was taking notes nearby. "Mr. Thompson was found this morning by his housekeeper, Mrs. Wilson. She came in at 8 a.m. as usual and found him like this. The medical examiner puts time of death between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. last night," Turner reported. Morgan nodded, his eyes scanning the room. Everything looked perfectly normal. No signs of struggle, no forced entry. The study windows were locked from the inside, and nothing appeared to be stolen. Only the broken watch seemed out of place. "Who was in the house last night?" Morgan asked. "4 people, according to Mrs. Wilson. The victim's brother, Robert Thompson, his business partner, Michael Harris, his personal assistant, Lisa Brown, and the cook, Mrs. Peterson. They were all here for dinner." Morgan interviewed each person separately. Robert Thompson claimed he left at 8:30 p.m. after an argument with his brother about their father's will. Michael Harris said he stayed until 9:30 p.m. discussing a new business deal. Lisa Brown stated she worked until 9 p.m. organizing files in the library. Mrs. Peterson insisted she finished cleaning the kitchen and left by 8 p.m. The inspector examined the broken watch carefully. It was an expensive gold pocket watch, a family heirloom, according to Robert. The glass was cracked, and the hands had stopped at 9:45 p.m. But something about it bothered Morgan. He called the medical examiner. "Doctor, are you absolutely certain about the time of death?" "Yes, Inspector. Based on body temperature and other factors, Mr. Thompson died between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m., most likely around 9:45 p.m. Morgan went back to interview Mrs. Wilson, the housekeeper. "Did you notice anything unusual when you arrived this morning?" "Not really, sir. Everything was as usual, except..." She paused. "Well, the grandfather clock in the hall was running 15 minutes fast. I reset it this morning. Mr. Thompson was very particular about his clocks being accurate." That detail made Morgan think. He returned to the study and examined the crime scene again. The desk calendar showed yesterday's date. A half-empty teacup sat on the desk, the liquid completely cold. A newspaper lay open to the business section, and a small notebook contained what appeared to be financial calculations. Morgan called all the suspects back to the mansion. They gathered in the living room, looking nervous. "I know who killed Mr. Thompson," Morgan announced. The killer tried to create a clever alibi using the watch, but made one crucial mistake. He turned to Michael Harris. "It was you, Mr. Harris. You killed Richard Thompson after your business meeting." Harris's face turned pale. "That's impossible. I left at 9:30. The watch shows he died at 9:45. Morgan smiled. "That's exactly how I caught you. You didn't know that all the clocks in the house were running 15 minutes fast. When you broke the watch to create your alibi, you set it to what you thought was 9:45, but it was actually 9:30, exactly when you claimed to have left." Mrs. Wilson confirmed that Mr. Thompson kept all his clocks 15 minutes fast, a habit he developed to avoid being late. When you broke the watch and set it to 9:45, you actually recorded the real time of 9:30. You thought this would give you an alibi, proving you had already left when the murder occurred. Harris slumped in his chair. He was going to ruin everything, he confessed. "I found proof he was embezzling money from our company. When I confronted him, He threatened to frame me for the missing money. I couldn't let him destroy my reputation. But you destroyed it yourself, Morgan said, nodding to Officer Turner to make the arrest. A broken watch and a detail about running clocks 15 minutes fast. That's all it took to solve this case. As Harris was led away in handcuffs, Morgan picked up the broken watch. Time had stopped for Richard Thompson, but justice hadn't. Sometimes, he thought, the smallest details made the biggest difference in solving a case. The grandfather clock in the hall struck 10, its chimes echoing through the now quiet mansion. Another case closed, another mystery solved. Inspector Morgan carefully bagged the broken watch as evidence, a reminder that time always reveals the truth, even when someone tries to manipulate it.